to tell me more. Peak Hegseth gets embarrassed in front of the whole party. It's terrible for him. It's the worst day of his life. Let's get right into it. Let's go.
Testimony over the last several days before Congress, I've heard you speak about all of your supposed accomplishments from your time at the Pentagon. I have to say, your training at Fox News has let you spend months of dangerous dysfunction and incompetence into catchy phrases like restoring the warrior ethos and increasing lethality. But the truth is, it's really been chaos at the Pentagon under your leadership. You've clearly shown you're unable to manage the Department of Defense, but what I'm most concerned about are three specific areas: your operational incompetence, your managerial incompetence, and your budgetary incompetence. So let's start with operational. According to news reports, in your first week on the job, you got confused in a National Security Council meeting and thought President Trump wanted you to stop all aid to Ukraine. In a well-functioning administration, you would have asked for clarification before making that seismic policy shift, but instead you ordered vital military aid heading to the front lines turned around, costing the U.S. millions of dollars and depriving Ukrainian soldiers of equipment they needed to fight Russia. So, Mr. Secretary, can you explain how exactly you misunderstood such a monumental presidential order?
One of many fake news headlines we've dealt with.
So President Trump told you to halt military aid to Ukraine on January 30th?
As is often the case, highly ideological and very ill-informed reporters love to speculate about things they know nothing about in order to spear President Trump and myself.
So it sounds like actually the reporting is correct, because I will say, if it wasn't a mistake, why did aid restart only a few days later? So why did aid start just a couple days later?
I'm saying the reporting is inaccurate, ma'am.
I don't think that's correct. So let's move on to your managerial incompetence. I think we can see why you misunderstood the president, because you're obviously misunderstanding my questions. Less than a month into the job, you fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, C.Q. Brown, and the chief of naval operations, Lisa Franchetti, without cause. And to this day, you still have not provided an adequate explanation for removing them. As far as I can tell, you fired C.Q. Brown because he was black and Lisa Franchetti because she is a woman. So nearly 4 months later, we still don't have a new nominee for Chief of Naval Operations. News reports, and you can contest it, but I'd love to hear your answer, say that you haven't nominated someone because qualified admirals keep turning the position down. So tell me, Mr. Secretary, when will Congress receive your nomination for the next chairman of the next chief of naval operations?
Ma'am, with all due respect, I would suggest not believing every headline you read.
With all due respect, I'd like your nomination. When will we see it?
There is not a single admiral or any military official has turned down a position that's been.
So when will we see your nominee for the chief of naval operations?
In due time, for all the right reasons.
Again, I think we've seen the managerial incompetence. Okay, let's move on to budgetary incompetence. You missed the deadline to submit a draft defense budget to Congress, which makes it impossible for us to complete our work on the NDAA or appropriations, and makes it more likely you'll receive delays in funding you need for new acquisitions, programs, and other priorities. Additionally, you're blowing money on poorly conceived operations and vanity projects for President Trump. Retrofitting the Qatari jet to serve as Air Force One will cost about $400 million. The parade in D.C. this weekend will cost upwards of $40 million. Your bombing campaign in Yemen cost about $1 billion, and a week later they were having missile strikes in Israel. Your operations in L.A. will cost tens of millions of dollars, and you claim to be cutting costs at the Pentagon, but all I see are wasted dollars better spent addressing our most pressing threats like China. So, Mr. Secretary, what priorities have you cut funding for to pay for these projects?
Ma'am, I would just say your list left off securing the southern border.
So, Mr. Secretary, what priorities have you cut funding for to pay for these projects?
We make trade-offs every day, and I would imagine what we want to spend on is quite different than what the previous administration did.
Well, I think
we
the
made those changes quickly, and they're reflected in this budget, and we're very proud of them.
I think the American people can see why I'm so concerned about this incompetence. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mills.
Thank you. Yield back my time.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentlelady from New Hampshire, Ms. Goodlander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today. We have one really important thing in common. We all swore an oath to this great document, the United States Constitution. We swore that oath when we joined the military, and we swore that oath when we began the jobs that we're holding now. And I want to begin at the beginning of this document and at the beginning of your testimony, Mr. Hegseth. In the first sentence of your testimony, you said you're here today to testify about the fiscal year 2026 budget for the Department of Defense. You're required under law to submit this budget to the Congress because we've got the power of the purse, after all, by no later than the first Monday in February. Here we are in the second Thursday in June. We don't have your budget, as the chairman, the ranking member, and many of my colleagues on this committee have pointed out. You have testified that you want to be accountable for every dollar, every taxpayer dollar, and where it goes. We can't do our job without your budget. When can we expect your budget, Mr. Hegseth?
Well, as I also acknowledged in my opening remarks, in the first year of an administration, it does take more
Mr.
time,
Hegseth, please
especially while
reclaiming
you're
my time.
addressing the priorities of the previous administration.
When can we expect your budget?
You have details of it already, and you will have it very soon.
Can we expect the budget before the end of the month?
I would refer to Bryn, who's working that, but I know there are a great deal of detail that is already with the committee.
Okay, let the record reflect that you haven't given us a commitment, but you're required by law to do so. You're also required by law to pass an audit. That's been true since the 1990s. The Department of Defense is the only department that has continually failed an audit. You've committed to passing an audit in 2028, but we expect you to pass an audit this year and hope you will work with us to achieve that goal. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for your testimony and what you've said about the threats that we face as the United States, threats from China, Russia, and Iran, and I want to ask briefly questions about each. Mr. Chairman, you've said that the Chinese Communist Party is advancing an unprecedented military modernization effort with cutting-edge technologies, including artificial intelligence. Do you agree that the United States military must have more powerful AI capabilities than China?
Well, ma'am, first, thank you also for your service in the Navy. I think LLMs and AI really underpinning all of our command and control capabilities is now and will be in the future a key and essential tool for decision making.
Thank you. I agree that American AI dominance is extremely important.
Yes,
Mr. Hegseth, should American AI dominance be up for negotiation with China and any trade talks that are underway?
As the chairman said, we're very focused on AI dominance. It's central to maintaining our cutting edge, and we're doing that.
Good. Well, I hope, will you commit to telling the president not to sacrifice American AI dominance in any of his negotiations with the Chinese?
The president is not surrendering any of our dominance to the Chinese.
Good. I'll take that as a yes, that you'll be advocating for that. Thank you very much. I hope you'll also, you've both spoken to the importance of competition in the defense industrial base. I agree with that deeply. I'd point out that 40% of small businesses have left our defense industrial base supply chain in the past decade, and trade wars that have caused unprecedented uncertainty are going to drive more small businesses out of business. And that's something I hope we can work together to try to prevent, because it's very real in my home state of New Hampshire. Mr. Hegseth, did you order a pause in offensive cyber operations against Russia?
I know the story you're referring to, and it's false. We said it then, and I'll say it now.
So it is your testimony that you never ordered a pause in offensive cyber operations against Russia?
We did not.
Okay, let the record reflect that, and we'll be following up on that. I'm going to skip Iran because there's been a lot said in this hearing that has given me grave concern. One of the things that's been said in this hearing, Mr. Hegseth, was I want to give you the opportunity to correct the record and make clear that you will abide by, that you will obey a ruling of the United States Supreme Court.
I don't believe we have any cases pending before the Supreme Court right now.
I want to ask you, will you abide by a ruling, by a decision of the United States Supreme Court if it is issued and you're asked to do so?
What I've said, and I'll repeat, is that district courts should not set the foreign policy of the United States of America.
Mr. Hegseth, this is a fundamental principle of the United States Constitution.
Gentlelady's
Yeah,
time's expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Secretary General, thank you for being here and for your extensive commitment of time today. We're grateful for it, and it's the way the system is supposed to work. I want to ask Mr. Secretary on the service member and family health care side. In your opening statement, we haven't talked much about it today, but you brought up quality of life improvements made in partnership with Congress over the prior years and going forward, and your commitment to them. And I jotted down what you said, which is that quality of care given by defense healthcare system is an important priority for you. At the end of the last year, prior to the current administration's service in office, there was concern in many base towns, Army-based towns, about what we viewed as a push from the Biden administration to downgrade a number of our healthcare facilities.